Well, hey, I'm James Riley.
And I'm Beth Riley.
And this is another fun edition of our Artist Spotlight podcast series. And Beth, who we have?
Well, today we have the pleasure of speaking to one of the guitarists of the all-female group, the Surfrajettes.
Nicole, how you doing?
Hi guys. How are you doing? I'm great.
Well,
how's it going?
Really good out here. And we never know what the weather's going to be like here in Illinois. And you guys were just here not too long ago. And we'll talk about a lot of that stuff here in a little bit. Want to talk about your sound and your influences. I think I read somewhere you had a bit of a blues background. But who are some of your influences?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I did kind of start out, the first band I was in high school, was like an R&B cover band. Did a lot of blues and R&B covers. So that's how I kind of started, developing my style on the guitar. So it was a lot of like blues that I was listening to at the time, like B.B. King, Muddy Waters, that kind of thing. But I think what got me interested in playing the guitar at first was like a lot of the classic rock that my dad was into. So Led Zeppelin, that was who I was obsessed with when I first started. The Stones, the Beatles, all of that classic stuff is what got me hooked on the guitar initially.
Not sure if I mentioned it in the introduction, but I do want to say the Surfrajettes are an instrumental surf band.
Nice one.
And you guys have really been making a name out there. Not only are you one of the top surf groups out there, but you're able to play with a wide variety of acts, not too unlike how a Brian Setzer show goes about that. Speaking of Brian Setzer, that is my birthday buddy. We share a April 10th birthday. So
that's coming up.
Yeah.
So happy birthday to you and Brian.
Thank you. Now, how do you guys really consider yourself?
We obviously consider ourselves a surf instrumental band. That's how we started out, but I kind of consider ourselves more broadly like just a guitar-based instrumental band. A lot of the stuff that we do is not necessarily surf. We don't try to stick to it in that way, in that specific surf way. So we have a lot of covers, like our Britney Spears cover, for example. That's, not a surf song, but it's a song we love. We just love playing the songs that we love to play, and we're not really concerned if it's going to fit into, a certain genre.
The Ventures are an influence, and seeing you guys in the documentary was really cool. And actually, watching you guys in concert, it really kind of brought that home of, the Ventures were somebody that kind of dipped their toe into the surf world a little bit, but they were really more of just an instrumental rock group. And they were playing popular songs at the time. And not to unlike what you're doing, with Britney and, maybe a Mariah Carey Christmas song. And so, I mean, that's kind of a cool connection. Do you connect with what the Ventures did and kind of making it a modern?
Of course. Yeah, of course. They're a huge, huge inspiration to us. I think we kind of do directly model ourselves after them in a lot of ways, in the sense of how broad the spectrum is of music that they played and music that they covered. We definitely look to them for inspiration in that regard. Yeah, big fans of the Ventures. For sure. We
saw the video you and Shermie did about your record collection. This was a few years back, just some of your favorite records. And there was a couple things there that stood out. One, like we are always looking for Astronauts records too. We were going to any record store. And actually I've lucked into some recently. And the other thing that was there, you were talking about the little notes that you find on used records sometimes. So actually I've got one over here that we found of the Astronauts, and it cracks me up because somebody taped a little thing on here. It says Denver 1962, dated Rich Fifield 2 times, very arrogant.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I mean,
I love that stuff.
Oh, yeah. It was worth it. So, like, when you go to a record store, are there certain areas, because we're always fascinated by this because we're always hitting record stores. what's the first area you go to? Is it like the dollar section? You go for okay,
yeah. I tend to go to like kind of the back with the like unorganized piles of the dollar records that are not in any like alphabetical order or anything. I feel like those are like where a lot of the gems are. As to how playable those records are going to be, like what kind of condition they're in.
We do the exact same thing.
Yeah. But yeah, I head to like the floor where they're all stacked up.
Yeah.
I'm not organized.
Exactly. I mean, there's a certain group of records we're always searching for in the alphabetized section or the new release, new purchases section. But yeah, we're always hitting the dollar stuff first, seems like.
Yeah, for sure. That's where I'm at too.
We'll ask you about original tunes too, but curious as to how a cover idea comes to you. Do you usually have like a list of songs that could be a cool cover, or is it more of a spontaneous thing?
It kind of tends to be a mix of both, I would say. Sometimes we hear stuff on the radio or whatever. We have a light bulb moment where, oh my gosh, that would be a really great, like unique surf cover to do. We make a running list of cover ideas based on those moments. Sometimes they come to fruition and sometimes they don't. I think there's still kind of a list of ideas that have been hanging around for years that haven't happened yet. But yeah, it's usually like a spontaneous moment of, oh wow, that might work as a song. And there's some that we've tried that don't always work out. We kind of shelve it. But being in this band, you kind of are always listening to everything as, could we make this a song? Could we do this? Just kind of filtering everything you hear through that, mining for new ideas.
For your original music, how does inspiration hit you for new material?
We kind of work in this sort of backwards-ish way most of the time, where we think, okay, we really need to write a song in the style of this. We need a slow song, or we need like a song that's like a 60s pop, like upbeat song, or we'll think of a name, like a title for a song that kind of sounds, and then write the song to that. So I guess that's kind of sort of backwards from just sitting down and writing and seeing what happens. Kind of think of the idea first of what we want it to be, and then try to write something that makes that happen.
We saw you guys in Chicago. The McCharmleys were opening up, which are fantastic group out there
they're
too.
great.
And you're about to do some shows with Reverend Horton Heat.
Yes.
Definitely very cool. How is it like approaching, headliner tours and then opening up for somebody like Reverend Horton Heat? I mean, there are definitely some similarities in styles, but there's some differences. Can you see as you're winning over a crowd out there that maybe came to see Rev, but they hadn't heard you guys yet, and then you're like, oh man, you guys are great.
Yeah, we definitely get a lot of that. Last year we were on tour with the band Electric Six. They have a completely different fan base from us. It was like, a lot of people in that audience who hadn't heard us before. Like, as you said, like, oh yeah, I didn't even know who you were, but like, you guys are fantastic. And so it's always great to gain fans that way. And then sometimes there's some overlap. Like, I know a lot of the Reverend fans, there's a lot of fans who are also fans of us. So it's cool for them to get to see both bands in one show. It's a lot of work to do your own headlining tour. So that's a difference.
Yeah.
From just opening for someone, you have to, bring all your own gear and play for much longer. And then opening for someone's a bit of an easier time in that regard. You kind of do your quick 45-minute set, and, the pressure's not on you. You're not the headliner. You're not responsible for like the draw necessarily. They're both good in their own ways for sure.
And something that struck me as we were seeing you guys, because the temperature had changed just right before it was cold in Chicago, which it usually is around this time, but it had been warm, and it made me think, it's like, gosh, how difficult is it to pack for a tour?
Wow. Oh yeah. That was really tough. What we just did was, we called it the Snow to Sea Tour for that reason, because we started out in kind of the Midwest, went out to California and back, and we literally had to pack. We left with our winter coats on. Then in the middle, we're in like shorts and t-shirts and sandals, and then on the way back, we had to dig out the winter coats again. Yeah, it was definitely a challenge to pack for that tour, but I think we did pretty well. I brought just the right variety of clothing, and it worked out.
It didn't even hit me until watching that. I was like, gosh, that's got to be crazy. Because literally it snowed here yesterday.
Yeah, it's snowing here right now. It's snowing here right now as well.
Isn't that crazy?
It's great, yeah.
Happy spring.
Yeah, it's brutal.
I have to tell you, because just because. But Jim Babjack of the Smithereens, he was asking me about the Surfrajettes when I posted the video from the Chicago show. He told me in an interview that I did with him a couple of years ago, early on, there was a period of time where they were known as the Surfin' Smithereens. Just doing surf instrumentals. But just wanted to let you know, he said that you guys were super cool.
Oh, that's great.
And basically...
Well, tell him thank you if you talk to him again.
a Surfrajettes Smithereens tour would be pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Just going to throw that out there.
Well, yeah, we'll try to make that happen.
Speaking of cool bands, how was the Beach Boys cruise that you guys were on?
Oh, that was so much fun. Yeah, we did 2 of those cruises. They did one, we did it 2 years in a row, and it was great. Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees was on there. John Stamos made a guest appearance. The Temptations, so many great acts that we got to hang out with, and it was very, very surreal to be doing that, hanging out with all these people on a boat in the middle of the ocean. It was one of those moments where you're like, what is my life?
Yeah.
How did I get here?
Man, the Beach Boys, they're such a great example of great music that has lived on through so many changes, musical styles. So, you look back at the last several decades, the things that have come and gone, grunge. There's a lot of things that have kind of come and gone since then, but they have still remained and people still love that music. And what kind of stuff do you take away from being around artists like that?
That's a good question. Like you're saying, their music is just timeless. It has lasted over the years. It's lasted through many band member changes. So it's really inspiring to see that if your music is really good and you have something that people love, they're going to love it all through the years, and that will sustain you, and you can keep going. You can keep practicing your craft and keep doing it and keep going. That's kind of what I take from that, is just seeing how after all these years, they're still up there, they're still doing it, and they're still got an audience who loves them, and it gives you hope as a musician.
One thing I want to do is ask you about the other members of the Surfrajettes. Tell me about them.
Well, my friend Shermy, the other guitar player, her and I started the band together. It was her idea. She and I went to high school together. We've known each other for a very long time now. And we were kind of the 2 only girl guitar players in the high school at the time. And so we kind of bonded over that. And we lost touch after we graduated, but she just called me up a few years after and just wanting to start this band. She had this great idea for an all-girl surf band called the Surfrajettes. And so that's how the band kind of started. And yeah, I've known her forever. Sarah, our bass player, she is a friend of ours, goes back quite a few years as well. She lives just down the road from us. And she was a singer and upright bass player in a rockabilly band called the Millwinders, who we would go see play a lot, and we really admired her. She's just a super talented musician. She wasn't our original bass player, but we had an opening for a bass player spot, and we really needed her, so she kind of stepped into the role. She'd never had played electric bass before joining our band, so she'd only played upright, but she kind of learned the electric for us, and she's been with us for quite a few years now. And then our drummer right now, Annie, she's kind of our newest member, and people joke a lot. Our followers joke a lot about how we're like Spinal Tap. We've gone through a lot of drummers, but Annie, we met her a few years back when we were doing a show in Cleveland at the Beachland Ballroom there, and her band opened for us. She was a drummer in a surf band called the Beyonderers. So we just this, because we're always noticing women musicians, especially drummers, since they're so hard to come by. So yeah, we had an opening for a drummer spot, and we called her up, and she was super excited to play with us, and here we are. At
the show, you guys played a couple new songs. Is there anything you can tell us about some new music you're working on?
Yeah, we just finished recording our second full-length album. It's now all mixed and mastered, and so there will be an announcement probably soon about a release date. I'm not sure yet, but we got a bunch of new songs ready to go. And yeah, we do play quite a few of them in the set now. We're really excited about them. I think this album people will be surprised at the kind of mix of different styles and stuff that are on there. I think people are going to really like it.
So as we mentioned, we do radio shows, which you know.
Yeah.
So what we'd like to do is get a request from you. Do you have a surf song request for James's show, Catching a Wave?
Oh, a surf song request. Oh my gosh. Any old surf song. There's so many to choose from. Well, we were talking about the astronauts, weren't we?
Sure.
So I'd love to hear which one. Oh no, I hate being put on the spot.
And you're welcome.
Thank you so much. I can't choose. We do a version of, on the album it's mislabeled as Kook, I believe.
Yeah.
It's actually Bonsai Pipeline.
Sure.
So we love that song. So I'd love to hear what they call kook.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. Yeah, I've gotten in trouble for saying the name
I just have to declare. Yeah, I'm like, how do I refer to? That's one of our favorites we've been covering since almost the beginning of the band. So
yeah.
I will submit that one.
Okay. And so Beth's show, Bopping with Beth, is literally anything. I mean, she does a focus beam artist for a specific artist each week, and then kind of talks about their influences and some other things too. But so really, she does a show on Joan Jett one week and Hoyt Axton the next, or it's kind of all over the place.
Fun.
So, and this one might be easier. Anything. It could be Zeppelin. It could be anybody that you want to hear. You get a request for Bopping with Beth.
Well, I was just thinking about the show that you guys were at in Chicago when we had Joel Patterson sit in with us.
He's great.
And yeah, he's amazing. And he came and played a version of Train Kept a Rollin' with us, which our version's based on the Yardbirds version.
Okay.
But when he came up, he did kind of like the rockabilly, like Johnny Burnett.
Sure.
Version, which I thought was really great. So I think I will submit Train Kept a Rollin' by Johnny Burnett.
And we were going to mention, if you hear a train noise, there's a train track right over here by us. So we were going to bring up Train Kept a Rollin' if the train came by. So
I spoiled it. I'm sorry.
Well, one thing you didn't spoil is we also have MC Hammer featuring the Wrecking Crew here working on the elevators. So
wow.
Yeah, actually they're kind of quiet right now, but in case
well, I'm surprised I can't hear it.
Yeah,
based on that description.
Yeah,
you can't touch this.
Yeah. Oh man.
One fun thing that we like to do is talk about if you could pick 3 to 5 albums to take with you to a desert island, which 3 to 5 albums would you take? And you're being put on the spot again. You're welcome.
Yay, here we go.
And it's literally 3 to 5 today. It could change tomorrow.
Today. All right. Well, this might be a varied selection then. All right. Well, because I did mention that my favorite band that inspired me to play the guitar was Led Zeppelin, I think I would have to pick Led Zeppelin, Physical Graffiti. Does a double album count as one?
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, I'll pick the double album since I get more bang for my buck that way.
Yeah.
I've also been revisiting my childhood lately and listening to a lot of like Green Day.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if that's allowed to mention on your shows, but I love their album Dookie. I've listened to that so many times over the course of my life. So that would be another one. What else do we got? Definitely need some Beatles. I think I would take the Beatles' Abbey Road with me. Right now I'm listening to the Tailspins. They were a band that opened up for us on the first half of the tour, so not the McCharmleys who you saw, but they have a really great EP, self-titled, that I've been listening to over and over again. So I'll take some Tailspins with me. I'll also take Crowded House, their first album, Crowded House.
Another good one.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess there's so many more I could pick.
No, I didn't hear any Jackson Browne in there. Have you heard of Jackson Browne?
Oh, yes, of course, Jackson Browne.
It's funny because Beth and I, in like every interview, her favorite artist that she grew up with was Jackson Browne, still is, and mine is the Beach Boys, and so we typically try to work that into every. And sometimes if somebody's like, nah, I'm not familiar with that, we're usually like, well, it's been good talking to you. And
yeah, like bye. No, I know the Jackson Browne hit, but I can't say I have ever done a deep dive into Jackson Browne, but wonderful voice.
A request for the next time we see you. I'll give you guys an easy one. Doctor My Eyes. Just learn that one.
Okay. I'll get on that today. I'll be ready for you next time. It is a great song.
It's funny. One of the shows she did does a crate digging thing. So it's like she did a show just on Jackson Browne's first album. And we were trying to find some people that did covers. And she put Jackson 5 did a cover of Dr. My Eyes, which was like, neither one of us had ever heard that. It was like, that was pretty cool.
That's really cool. I'll have to look that up.
Along those lines a little bit is we always talk about we wish we could find a time machine and go back in time and, meet each other earlier than when we did. And but is there a time period, if you could get in a time machine and go to a certain time period, a year or a decade or something, what would you go back to? Or would you go forward? I don't know.
I'd be a little bit scared to go forward. I don't know what's going to happen. So I would love to go back to anywhere in California in the 60s. The classic surf vibes, OG surf music, palm trees, 60s vibes. That's where I'd go.
Absolutely.
I think, yes.
Seeing Dick Dale at the Rendezvous Ballroom.
Exactly. Exactly.
With the Beach Boys opening up.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
There you go. Hey, Nicole, thanks so much for spending time with us. This has been really fun getting to know some background and what's coming up. And can't wait to see you guys out there playing some more.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me to talk to you. Yeah, and I hope we'll see you again at another show sometime soon.